Welcome to Hannah's Heart.
So Hannah, she's just one of the women who did struggle with infertility in the Bible.
No matter who we are, we can be inspired by the fact that Hannah took her pain to God, and God heard her and was with her.
So when she was praying at the temple, she had been weeping and not eating, and her lips were moving, but her eyes were closed, and the priest was like, "Hey, why are you drunk at the temple?"
It can become an obsession when you want a child so deeply.
And desiring that baby and to be a mama. Every holiday, every Mother's Day.
This is not a show that's going to promise you a certain outcome, but this is a show that says, however God answers your cry, we know that He's enough. Hey everybody, I'm Kendra and you're listening to Hannah's Heart on American Family Radio. For those of you that are new to our show, we are a show for couples who are struggling with infertility or miscarriage, and maybe your life looks a little different than you thought. My normal co-host, Anne, is not with us today, but she and I, that was our journey, and the Lord led us to want to encourage other couples that you are not alone. Christ is enough. You can cling to Him. You can hold on with everything with a firm grasp because He is a solid anchor for the storm. And today I wanted to introduce some amazing guests that we have with us in studio. I am so excited to have these guys on. We have Ari and Quinnette Tukes. How'd I do on the name?
Great.
Okay, good.
Excellent.
All right. Well, we are so excited to have you guys. I saw your story on I think it was a Facebook video that was traveling around. Now, the Radiance Foundation, for those of you that don't know, an amazing ministry by the Baumbergers. If you don't know them, just stop, go look them up. They're amazing. But they have a special grant that they've started called Adopted and Loved for couples that are seeking to adopt. And we're going to hear a little bit more about it. But this amazing couple were grant recipients, and it was a little video about your all story, and I just said, we have to get them on Hannah's Heart. And then I was like, where did they I saw Abraham Hamilton in your video, and I was like, wait a minute, I know that guy. I was like, wait, I've met them before. And so honored to have you guys in our area to come share your powerful story. So thanks for being on.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
So we're just going to start from the very beginning. Tell us quickly how you guys met and how the Lord just brought your all story together.
Well, briefly, I'll give a brief story.
Yes.
We met in college. Quinnette was returning home from serving with the United States Air Force, and
Thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
and I was attending Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, and so we met each other through her cousin, and it was more my pursuit, of course, than hers.
The
She
eye
wasn't
roll
paying
for those of you that
attention.
are watching on radio.
Yeah, she
Quinnette
was.
just gave.
She wasn't paying attention at all, and which was fine because that's probably what intrigued me even more. But eventually, I was persistent and following up with her cousin, who was working on our behalf.
Okay.
And so that at least I took that as a way of respect for the fact that I didn't blemish my name. You know? But anyway, eventually we were able to meet one another, and Quinnette was instrumental in pointing me back to Christ
Amen.
when I was an undergrad. 'Cause
Okay.
I wasn't living as one who belonged to the Lord. So she challenged me to go to church with her. I said, I can do that. You know, I was nervous because it was just a different environment, but started going to church and then would ask her hard questions I never could ask anyone. And she didn't shy away from it because she's the one that challenged me to ask me about salvation. And so I knew that, she was a winner in that aspect because she, one, wasn't paying attention to me in the beginning, so I had to pursue, which was good for me. But also, though, and more importantly, is that she challenged me in my walk. And then when I didn't know or didn't answer according to maybe what initially she wanted to hear, right? The scripture would say, she didn't shun me off.
Wow.
And so that drew me, and I needed to be amongst the saints, and be stretched that way. So that's the short story.
And he was good looking, huh? And you just said, yes, sir.
Yeah.
No, I would like to think that, but that wasn't it. Not that I wasn't good looking, as much as
not
that she wasn't focused
You
on
had to
that.
test the heart.
Yes,
You-
absolutely. Yes.
I respect for that. My husband says I made him jump through so many hoops and bells and whistles before we got married. So respect.
Well, worth
it's
it.
worth it.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, when you get it right the first time, it certainly helps.
That's right.
It's awesome. Well, after you guys got married, how long was it? Had you talked about kids? Were kids on your radar when you got married?
Let me think. I always wanted children. When we met and we talked about it, Quinnette wasn't really big on the idea of having children.
Okay.
And I let her go into more of that. And so I never lied about it. And I was like, oh, no, I want children. You know, and like most people, I want two, because I at first grew up where it was just two of us. And then, of course, my younger sister came into our lives, who, by the way, was adopted as well.
Okay. Nice.
By my parents. And so I always knew that I couldn't envision a life being married and not having children. But again, that was something we talked about while we were dating. And then the Lord started working on Quinnette.
Okay, so that chapter, usually it's the woman that's like, I'm for sure about kids, and the man's like the hesitant one. So what was going on in your heart?
I don't think it was that I didn't want children. I think that I wasn't sure what kind of mother I would be. And so when we were talking and dating and just sharing our hearts with each other, I said, I'm not sure where I stand on this. I knew exactly where he stood. And I said, I'm not saying it'll be ever, but because I was so concerned about the kind of mother that I would be, and compared myself to other mothers that I knew. And I was like, I don't know if I can meet that, because I knew being a parent, being a mom was serious, and I feel like, and I felt at the time you had to be called to it. And because I had struggled so much with my thoughts on motherhood and things of that nature, I said, I know where you are, where I stand, is this something that we can make work? And it was a slow walk, but he was willing, to walk with me. And it was a journey. And so once we decided, yes, we want to be together, we want to get married, and my heart began to change, because once we decided on marriage, I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, he wants children, and you know where I am. If you're willing, would you help me? Would you change my heart?
Amen.
And it was a slow walk. It was a journey for us to get to that place.
We never argued about it.
We never
had an
argued.
argument about it.
Never.
And I didn't go into the relationship thinking, oh, she'll change for me.
No.
No, it wasn't that. It was, honestly, I really knew that she was that woman for me. So I wasn't focused on, it was truly a time in my life when, now that I think about it, I wasn't focused on, would she come around? And I didn't pray about it.
He never
I didn't pray it out. Some people, look, they go into a session. They be like, Lord, touch their heart. I didn't do that. And it's not that.
You trusted the Lord.
I did. I actually did, without necessarily knowing that that's what I was doing. I wasn't focused on it. If it happened, it would have happened. And if it wouldn't happen, we'd have worked through it.
And it was, he was very compassionate, very caring, and like I said, was willing to walk alongside as the Lord began to change my heart and to change my thoughts on it, and to let me know that it's not about being a good mother or a bad mother, but it is about accepting the not only the position but the calling of motherhood. And that was something I had never heard before, and being okay with it. I was I was probably more educationally driven than career driven.
Sure. Okay.
So education was very important to me. It wasn't that career wasn't important, but it was very important to me. It was important to my parents for them to see me graduate and things of that nature. And so as the Lord began to change my heart towards it, it changed because I began to read the word on biblical motherhood.
Wow.
And I had never seen that before
Wow.
in the Word.
Okay, so what kind of passages and things did God use, if you can remember? I know it's been a little while, but
A little while. I think I don't necessarily remember a specific passage, but I remember reading through different mothers in the scriptures and what their personality was like, how they tended to their children, did they seem fulfilled, those sorts of things. And I was like, wow. I'm like, okay, this has something to it, you know. And at the same time, like I said, it was the Lord really shifting and changing and transforming my heart. And then he also, with that, again, because of the scriptures, began to change my mind towards it.
Wow.
So that my thoughts could change along with my heart.
wow. I love that.
Yeah.
It reminds me, my husband and I, we had a similar story where, reversed, my husband wasn't sure about having children, and I felt called to marry him, and we were in the dating process, and it was scary for me to not be the one to pressure and to bring it up and to, you know, kind of force it down his throat and to trust God to do that work in his heart,
right.
because a lot of couples that do pressure each other, it doesn't end well.
Right.
It ends,
That's right.
becomes a constant friction, and if you do go on to have children, but one wasn't ready, it makes it a continual challenge throughout parenting as well.
Absolutely.
But I love that the Lord gave you a biblical mindset on parenting, because today it seems like culture says that kids are a burden, they're like, you know, exhausting, everything. And then you look at the biblical way of they're a blessing. And that's not what's being preached even among Christians
That's
today.
right. That is right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. And it's so sad because, you know, 40, 50, 60 years ago, you know, it was not uncommon to have large families. It was not uncommon to have, you know, and when I say large families, I'm not thinking 3 or 4 children. You know, my mom, my mother, my grandmother had 9 children.
Wow.
You know, that was not uncommon.
Right.
You know, to have fathers in the home, to have moms in the home, for them to train and equip their children. That was just not uncommon. And then you look at today, and it is like, you know, you get the kind of Death Star
Right.
from other believers.
Yeah.
You know, you have how many children?
Right.
Or you want children? You don't want a career? You don't want to do this? You don't want to do that?
Like it's going to ruin your
yes,
life.
yes,
Or
yes.
I can even find that the mothers and fathers who have larger families, they deal with an internal conflict sometimes, wondering, do we, you know, how do I look?
Yeah.
You know, what do people
Is there enough
think?
to go around?
I'm sure that
everything.
wasn't an issue in times past either, where you didn't
When
go
resources
around.
were even more scarce.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And so I think that in our today's society, to be a believer of the Lord, and to then struggle with wondering if you would be viewed from outside of the fellowship, or even
judgment.
inside the fellowship with that judgment, is something that's new. And it is uncalled for, but unfortunately, it does happen.
Yeah.
You know, so I you know, we hate to see that, and we try to make sure that we renew our minds, that we don't fall into that.
That's right.
So important.
Because we're blessed at our assembly to see families grow, and so we have to think healthy.
That's
We have to
right.
go, okay, we welcome that,
That's right.
and you know.
Well, speaking of families growing, let's fast forward. The Lord laid this on your heart. You have this total heart transformation. What happened next?
A few years later, I would say, we started talking. You know, we went to physicians. We went to, you know, specialists. We were both checked medically. There was nothing wrong with us medically. We still weren't able to have children. I've never been pregnant, so I've never had a miscarriage or anything like that. But we still weren't able to have children, and we had no idea why. Medically, we were fine.
I mean, we did. Initially, I had some testing, and they were like trying to see if it was an issue on my side, and they were like, "No, that's inconclusive."
Right.
So
But I did testing.
Not nothing that would hinder
Right.
an ability to have children.
Right.
Well, that's
But it just
maddening.
it just
Not to have an answer.
and then start having people. You know, you kind of get you start getting a little bit of questions like, "Hey, are y'all thinking about? Are you gonna have?" And we're gonna at the Lord's timing, you know.
And now that your heart's open, you're like, okay, God, you brought me here.
And
What's next?
That's exactly, that went through a whole nother spiral for me. And that was like, okay, Lord, you've given me this desire to be a mother, and you've given it to me. You've transformed my heart. You've renewed my mind. And now there aren't any children.
Yeah.
You know, what do I do with this?
Wow.
You know, and it was a struggle. It was a struggle with some ebbs and some flows.
It was also
hard at times.
it was harder at times because we would know people who would look like they was having babies every year.
Yeah.
You know, or you would hear about families who were struggling, and they went to the Lord about it, and then it happened.
Yeah.
And then we're going, okay, Lord,
We are
okay.
praying.
So
Yes.
and you start trying not to compare, and then you wonder if you did something wrong. Because I think that's something in our human nature that when we don't have an answer for a situation, we try to look back and see what did we do.
punishing me. What
Like,
sin did I have?
Like, I know you forgave me, Lord, but I mean, it's just like a consequence of that disobedience.
Wow.
And so you start questioning your own walk.
That's right.
You know, and then you go to extra far. So you having that commandment break, and then you're looking at someone else's family, trying not to be jealous of their blessing.
Right.
So then now you got to deal with that. And you're like, so now, Lord, am I coveting now?
Yeah.
And now am I, you know? And so you have to. It's truly a faith walk, and it's a humbling faith walk because it's a lot of examination, self-examination that I've had to do over the years.
Yes.
And still be a husband to encourage my wife. So I can't be down the whole time, you know, and then my wife is down, and then we two down people is ineffective.
That's right.
Well, and
so-
you feel like your life's always on pause of when is this next phase going to get started? You know, and it's hard to plan.
if.
Yeah, or is this ever going to happen?
Yes. Yes.
How long was this season of life for y'all?
Okay. I would say from the 2009, 2010,
Okay.
early 2010,
Wow.
right before we moved to Tennessee. So I would say from 2010 until 2022.
Whew, that's a long wait.
Yeah.
Wow. Did
And
your
it's-
heart get weary? Or what's
Yes.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
thing is that we have been married
Since
02.
wow.
So
okay.
Even in that, you know, the transitions and all of that or whatever, it was again ebb and flow, and it was challenging at times. It was, you know, we had to learn how to rejoice with them that rejoice. We had friends who were, you know, able to conceive and, you know, have multiple children. We had family members who were, you know, having multiple children. We had, you know, brothers and sisters in the Lord that we would see every week, and they were multiplying, you know, and it was like,
Or
okay,
adopting.
or adopting, yes. And we were like, okay, Lord, what is your will? What do you want for us? You know?
Now, one thing that did help along the way, and I didn't know it until after I became a parent, but it helped me along the way. When we were dating, we were attending the church, and we always had church meetings. Oh my goodness, we just like we lived there. We could have had a cot there.
Doors always open.
Yes, we always had a service, but we had a brother in the Lord that came. He was an elder, and he was a bishop, wasn't he?
Elder.
He was an elder. Okay, so he came to the church, and he had gave a prophetic call for people to come and get in line, and so we get in line, and I got in line. I said, okay, I'm looking at everybody. They falling out. Look like they're getting some great stuff. Okay, what am I going to hear? And so he said, you're going to be a great father.
Ooh.
And in the moment, I didn't appreciate what he said, because I'm like, I was waiting for my great whatever else that would make me feel like I could just jump over these pews. But I didn't appreciate it in the moment, and I was almost arrogant in that, and I didn't understand that the Lord. I know now, but then I didn't know that the Lord was giving me something to hold on to, because He knew that I was going to be rocked through that process, and I didn't know at that time that was really a hey, don't give up on this vision, don't.
Wow.
You know, and it took me. I was telling my wife, it was a few months ago, maybe last year, and I said, man, do you know that prophetic encouragement then was to keep me encouraged through this process that I didn't value, because I began to go, Lord, I know you told me this, and why is it being so slow? Where's it at? And I said, was that a lie? I said, that couldn't have been a lie, because I didn't get, everybody else got the ones that I wanted to hear, you know? So anyway.
You know, in my life personally, anytime the Lord has had an encouragement for me like that, it's usually been because I had to hold on to something. It's
That's
usually it was
right.
like, oh, I'm
That's
going to
what
have
it
to
was.
weather something.
That's
so.
right.
Sometimes the Lord will give us things that we undervalue, but it's really meant to hold on, to give us that encouragement, no matter what the situation is.
Wow.
And I think the lack of maturity
Yeah.
in
yeah.
that at that time, you know,
Oh, yeah, I was young and dumb in the faith. It was okay. It was okay.
yeah. So
But the Lord knew.
yes,
Oh, yeah.
And,
yes,
and he equips those that he calls, and he was already equipping you there to be Hannah's daddy,
that's right.
which we're going to get to Hannah. So, okay,
Oh, yeah.
how did the Lord lead you all to turn your hearts to adoption?
But we never ruled that out, but we never took active pursuit until the end of 2019. We were taking some certification classes in Tennessee, of course, before we relocated, not knowing we was going to relocate. So we was taking those classes for the adoption process. We was like, hey, at least we can get these certification classes done. So we did that, and we ended it. I think it ended like December 2019.
Okay.
So we were like, okay, 2020, we're going to
Our
pursue.
year.
This is our year.
Bum, 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 COVID.
Yep. Yep. Price is Right music. Boom, 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 you know, so we were like, okay, Lord, when we don't know what this means, but we'll hold off. And we were going to go through a particular adoption agency that I will leave nameless, that I gave a call to, and they were in Tennessee, in the area we lived in. And then they told us we wasn't doing adoptions. And I said, okay, Lord, we're just going to pause.
Yeah.
And I said, we're just going to start trusting you in this process because this doesn't make sense. You know?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's next?
So we
paused.
We paused,
Yeah.
and we began to change our prayer.
Okay.
And we said, Lord, if it's your will for us to be parents, then give us the grace that we need. And if it's not your will, give us the grace.
So were you thinking, Lord, are we not going to be parents? Could
We was
that be?
learning to
We
be
were
okay.
learning to be okay.
We never
with
learned
if
to be
that
okay.
Was,
We
yeah,
was choosing to
we were
trust
choosing
God
to trust
and
the
to be
Lord.
okay.
And it was a journey.
Okay.
That was
You know,
hard.
it was hard.
That was
it
a hard
very
one, yeah.
hard.
A big surrender.
Yeah, it's a total surrender.
Isaac on the altar moment.
Yes, yes.
Not realizing that in 2021 he would give us the direction to relocate,
Okay.
and to we had visited our current assembly,
Okay.
and that we attend today. But when 2021 we went to visit, I reached out to Abraham, and
Who is the pastor at Proximity
Yes.
and
Christian
Will,
Fellowship?
and I reached out to them at different points and invited us down, and we visited the first time and enjoyed it. Then we went back a couple of months later, visited the second time, and then I began to hear the Spirit of God stir me into saying, "Hey, you know, you want to go to, you want to leave," and so we ended up. I presented the idea to Quinnette. We made the decision and trusted the Lord and relocated to out here to Tupelo.
Yeah.
And in that process that's when the journey really began to take flight.
Well, I want to make sure we get to Hannah because we're running out of time.
Okay.
But I love that your pastor, Abraham Hamilton, loves adoption. He felt
Yes.
called to, at your church, have an adoption fund. He's very
Yes.
adoption minded. How did y'all get connected to the Baumbergers and
So our pastor, Brother Abraham, he was on or is on the board at Radiance Foundation. And so they had just started, I think they had one family that had already completed the first Adopted and Loved grant. And then he, being on the board, they said, hey, we want another family. He said, I have one. Now, we
Have you
had
talked
not,
to y'all now?
no, he had not. He had not. It was so the Lord. And so he called us one night after Ari and I had been talking about, okay, maybe we should just go ahead and start the process again. The Lord, again, sovereignly, he moved Abraham to call us and say, hey, there's an opportunity for you to receive a grant, the Adopted and Loved grant. Have you heard of the Baumbergers? We were like, yes, because we've gone to several conferences. And so we applied for that. And so when we went through that process and started the paperwork and process for the adoption, we received the grant. And we were overjoyed. We could not believe it. We were like, are you serious? And so
it's clearly the Lord pointing
Yes,
you? Okay, so
absolutely.
you were the recipients
Yes.
and got the funding. Then you were able to find an adoption agency here in Tupelo.
Yes.
That we all actually, Hannah's Heart, we love and support a lot of their work. And then you got a call.
Yes, the call
Fast
was 2 days. It was 2023, 2 days after she was born. Our caseworker called us and said, "Hey," well, she called like at 9:30 at night, and I thought something's wrong. And so she said, "Hey, Quinnette, she went through the spiel and saying, hey, just want to let you know you have a baby girl." And I was like, What? What? And so she was like, "And you can pick her up tomorrow." Like, what?
Oh, my word.
And so we were like, "Oh my goodness!" And
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
yes, so she was 2 days old, and in 2023, and she just turned 2 in May. And
There's
so,
tears coming to my eyes. I
Oh.
see them in yours because that
Yes.
call changes everything.
Oh, it
my
changes
goodness.
everything.
And how long awaited.
Yes.
What a fulfillment of God's promises. Oh my goodness, the time is no respecter of persons. I wish we could dig even deeper into this story of God's grace over your all's
Yes.
lives. But thank you guys so much for sharing your heart. Hey, if anyone wants to find out more about the Adopted and Loved grant, how can they find out?
I
Radiance
would
Foundation.
recommend everyone to go to the Radiance Foundation website.
Okay.
And I think I'm not sure if it's radiancefoundation.org, but
If you Google Radiance Foundation,
do
you will-
Google
they will
Radiance
pop up.
Foundation, and then that way you'll pop up, and then check
It's
out
on their site.
Check out their site and look into it, and then maybe you can learn more and reach out from there.
And here at Hannah's Heart, we really are fond of the name Hannah. I think you
Yes.
picked a great one.
That was definitely Spirit of God led.
What a
When that-
blessed
yes.
name and what a blessed little girl. She is a shining light and it's just absolutely beautiful. So thank you guys so much for coming on and sharing your story.
Thank you
Thank you
so
for
much for
having
having
us.
us.
And thank you guys for listening to Hannah's Heart on American Family Radio.